Welcome to Gaming Grains, the whiskey gaming channel. I'm your player one, Richard. Two absolute powerhouses in the world of whiskey, Penelope and Bardstown, both released a wheated bourbon earlier this year. And many people have argued that these are the best budget-friendly whiskeys in 2025. But how do they stack up against the tried and true Weller Special Reserve? Let's find out. So grab your controllers, pour yourself a dram, and let's get into it. Wheated bourbons use wheat instead of rye as their secondary grain. When rye is used, it brings a spicier, more punchier flavor to the bourbon. Wheat, on the other hand, creates a smoother, softer, and slightly sweeter profile. You'll often hear tasting notes of honey, vanilla, and butterscotch when describing a wheated bourbon, which is why many people find it as an approachable entry point into the world of whiskey. There are quite a few distilleries out there making some amazing wheated bourbons, whether that's Heaven Hill or Green River, but for many the gold standard has always been Weller. So when I heard that Penelope and Bardstown were coming out with their own wheated bourbons, I wanted to pick up a bottle and see just how they stack up to what many consider to be that gold standard of wheated bourbon. Now, before we can get into them, we need to get a better understanding of each of these bottles so that way I can make a fair assessment on where they stand. Now, I do have a cheat sheet that I'm going to refer to just to kind of make everything go a little bit smoother. So we're going to start off with that gold standard, which is Weller Special Reserve. If you're familiar with Buffalo Trace, the parent company of Weller, then you know that their mash bill is something that they keep very close to the vest. So when I was looking up their information, all I could find out was that it is considered to be a wheated mash bill, has a proof point of 90, no age statement could be found, at least not that I know of, and the MSRP is around $30. That's not too bad. I believe that when I purchased this bottle, I paid a little bit more than that. I think closer to $35 to $40 for that bottle. Now moving right along to the next bottle, Penelope, it is a 4-grain wheated bourbon. So they do have rye in their mash bill. In fact, their mash bill is 74% corn, 16% wheat, 7% rye, and 3% malted barley. It comes in at a slightly higher proof point than our Weller, which is 95. Age statement is anywhere from between 4 to 6 years, and then has an MSRP of $39.99. So a slightly higher proof point, 4-grain mash bill, and a little bit more on the MSRP than our Weller. And then to round it out, lastly, we're going to be looking at is that Bardstown high wheated bourbon. So this is a 3-grain mash bill, so no rye, 53% corn, 39% wheat, and 8% malted barley. It has the highest proof point of the three, 106 proof. It has the highest age statement. It's listed as 6 and does come in at a slightly higher MSRP of $49.99. So we have unknown mash bill, 4-grain mash bill, 3-grain mash bill. And then our proof points go 90, 95, 106. So I'm expecting to get some slightly spicier notes, not a whole lot out of this guy, but we will just have to see. Now, I went ahead and poured these earlier just to kind of let them open up. So I'm going to get into each of these, again, starting off with that gold standard of our Weller, and then we will go through each. Got to get myself organized. All right, so on the Weller, 90 proof, first on the nose. So it is very faint. I am getting like a fruity note. So like that apricot. There's a slight citrusy note. And then a sweet note there. I don't know if I would describe it as honey. Maybe a caramel. I can get honey. So we'll go ahead and get in on the taste. So again, Weller, 90 proof, it's gold standard. Cheers. So very smooth, very mellow. It is not as, the flavor is not as robust as the nose. It's very, like I said, mellow. You get a lot of those tasting notes, or nosing notes on the taste. So there is that slight citrus note to it. There is a fruit note. Whenever I drink a wheated whiskey or bourbon, I always describe it as like a sweet grass note, but very smooth, very light on the palate. So let's get in them again. Very mellow, which is, again, with there not being any rye, that is what you're coming to expect out of a wheat whiskey. If you were to start into whiskey, I would probably point you in this direction. Something like a Blanton's, something like a Weller. Just a very easy sipper, low proof. So yeah, so nice, mellow, easy sipper. As you can tell, I mean, I have put a pretty good dent into this bottle. So, all right, on to number 2, Penelope. So 95 proof, age statement of 4 to 6 years. Let's get in on the nose. So it does have a slightly spicy note. So again, remember, it is a 4-grain mash bill. Let's see how it compares to this guy. Very similar. This one seems sweeter. This one has like a slight baking spice note to it. But a lot of the similar nose notes from here. So there is that fruity component. Slightly different citrus. Almost like a zest. All right, so let's get in on the flavor, or on the taste. Cheers. All right, so as you would expect, slightly higher proof point, 4-grain mash bill. Out of the two, just right out the gate, this one has more flavor to it compared to this one. Slight wood influence. But I mean, almost on par with the Weller. Going back on the nose on the Weller, almost getting a candy note to it. I almost prefer, after going back from this guy to the Weller, I almost prefer the Weller. One thing that I did, or what can mention, is I did a tasting at a liquor store out in Pigeon Forge. They had 2 different Ben Holiday whiskeys. One was, I think, just the entry level, and then one was like a Rickhouse series. And the gentleman had me try the Rickhouse series first, which is a higher proof, then try the standard entry level, and then come back to the Rickhouse. And he said, just sipping the back and forth, you're going to notice just a slight change in those flavor profiles. And so after doing so, I was able to pick up on some tasting notes in that Rickhouse series more so than I did the original. So I ended up buying the Rickhouse one. Still sitting in the cabinet, haven't cracked it. Definitely need to do that soon. One more time on the Penelope. So getting that helps with picking out. I do get some of that vanilla, light honey notes there. We'll have to come back after we try the Bardstown and see just where they land. All right, on the Bardstown, 106, 6-year. Ooh, this is very florally. Where these, I get like a sweet grass note to them. This smells almost like a flower. There's some sort of familiar like baking note to it. I could just nose this all day. This smells amazing compared to the other two. Not as in your face compared to the Penelope. I don't know if that has something to do with the rye compared to just the 3 grain. But this smells lovely. So in on the taste. Cheers. Okay. A lot of the similar notes, almost like a honeysuckle on the Bardstown. Very smooth, especially for it being 106 compared to these other two. Just nice, mellow honeysuckle. That's probably got to be my number one. Doesn't drink like 106. It drinks a little bit more like this 90 proof. Let's get in on this again. Wow. All right. So as it stands, I'm going to say Bardstown is my clear favorite, but let's get back in on the other ones. I have a little bit left in each one of the Glens. Let's go back to the gold standard and see how this compares. So this almost has like I want to say leather, but leather doesn't. Yeah, I guess like a light leathery note that I wasn't picking up before. I don't know how to describe. So I almost want to call it like a white fleshy fruit, kind of like an apple or a pear that's there on the nose. Flavor wise, while this is nice, it doesn't touch this one. This is just, like I said, floral, honeysuckle. There's a slight wood note to it, just like an underlying tannin note there. But out of the two, this one seems very mild compared. So let's try these two on the nose. So that spice is there. Definitely noticeable compared to that one. I feel like I get more honey or caramel on this one, whereas this one seems to be more floral. It's interesting going back and forth between the two. I don't know if there's like just the olfactory, is that correct? Almost like on both of them together, it makes me smell like Honey Nut Cheerios. I don't know. I'm probably just talking out my butt. Yeah, I mean, by comparison, this one is by far superior. Now, those notes that I was getting before, that spice note that I was talking about when I was drinking it after the Weller, that's almost non-existent. Now, this is very sweet, lots of vanilla, caramel, honey notes on here, whereas the Bardstown seems to be a little bit more floral on the nose. All right, if I had to rank them based on flavor, based on, I mean, I guess just everything, I would probably leave them in the order in which they're in, starting with Bardstown being my number one. Yes, it is going to be a little bit more expensive, but it is distilled at Bardstown. You know that you're getting a 6-year age statement. It is a little bit more, but again, you know where it's distilled, bottled, and aged. And it has that higher age statement and a higher proof point. Penelope, which I believe is recently purchased by MGP, it says between 4 to 6 years. So to me, this tells me it's more of a blend. If you do like a little bit more of a spice note, this might be for you. $40, so a little bit cheaper. This one, if you can't spend the $10, is still pretty good. Weller. The reason that I put this one in third place, even though I'm seeing it more and more in different liquor stores and stuff like that, it still isn't everyday shelfer like these two are. It is very soft, mellow, and flavor. And the price isn't always going to be the same. I feel like no matter where I've been, no matter the liquor store, this one has always been 50. This one has always been 40. This one just tends to fluctuate from store to store. So my preference, Bardstown, Penelope, Weller. Now, are there other great wheated whiskeys that are out there that we didn't try? Yes. This happens to be one of my favorite. This is 1792 Sweet Wheat. Again, this is an allocated bottle, only comes out once a year. I have a backup of this one. I also have this one. I'd love to see, if we had time, but this is already a long video, how the Weller 107 would stack up to these. So one more proof point higher compared to the Bardstown. But you know what? We just don't have enough time. So, all right. Hopefully you found this informative and useful. I kind of rambled there for a little bit, but I appreciate you sticking until the end. As of shooting this video, I currently have 69 subscribers, just 31 short of my goal of getting 100 before the end of the year. So if you would, please make sure that you subscribe. Share this with family and friends. That would greatly be appreciated. If you like this kind of content, be sure that you hit the like button on this video. And then lastly, in the comments, do you have a favorite wheated bourbon? Have you tried these two new wheated bourbons to the field? Let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are. All right, guys, I appreciate you sticking until the end. As always, have a good one.